For Arsenal to remain City's closest contenders next season, what do Arsenal need to do? I think Erik ten Hag's project under Man United, you know, that could flourish. He could have a chance to get a few of the players he doesn't want to utilise out the door, and maybe a few more in. Chelsea can only get better. Liverpool, you know, I think actually missing out on Jude Bellingham might be one of the best things for Liverpool, because I think actually they might reinvest the money in, let's say, for example, I don't know, I'm sure there's better European League options out there, but off the top of my head, if they with the money they signed Jude Bellingham for, they could probably get McAllister and Tielemans or something like that. Maybe you look at one of these sides that goes down, there's always some good players in there and whatnot. With the fact that everyone is expected to get better, and I do understand that's something we say before every season, and there always is a couple that don't do well and do underperform. What do Arsenal need to do to get better? For me, I would say straight away, okay, you need strength in depth in certain positions, and for me, the one that stands out is centre-back, because I think you're heavily reliant upon that partnership of Saliba and Gabriel being fit. Obviously, you know, Ben White's been deputising at right-back and whatnot. But for yourself as an Arsenal fan who has a much more in-depth knowledge on it than me, where would you say on the pitch you need to strengthen?
Yeah, obviously defensively now is the focus. I think we're going to jump to centre-back because obviously everyone's, you know, dug out Rob Holding for the last sort of 2-3 weeks. I
Great
think
hair.
Oh, you know, that's one of the best comebacks I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's sensational. That he's even managed to get an Alice band in there as well. Unbelievable. But I think defensively we've been lacking. I think key injuries. I know everyone's talking about Saliba, and if you compare Saliba to Rob Holding, who's the better player? You're going to edge Saliba. You're going to, you know, some people might say a landslide Saliba. I think, for me personally, Saliba is a better centre half than Rob Holding. Although, having said that, Rob Holding still gets into any other Premier League 11 like throughout the clubs. I reckon he gets in there. Barring probably like City, he won't get in at City.
You don't think you get in Chelsea's back? I know we've been shipped, but do you think you get in Chelsea's back line, Rob Holding?
At the moment, he would. And I also think he would get into. He would definitely play ahead of Maguire at Man United.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
But Maguire doesn't really start.
He doesn't really
so
start.
If you're going
anymore.
on about starting 11, now listen, there will be ones at Man United to talk about. If you're going just talking about Rob Holding there, and we had a fit 11, if we're playing a 4 at the back, he doesn't get in ahead of Thiago Silva and Badiashile. I think as well, if you was honest with yourself, you'd rather have Badiashile, wouldn't you? I know Silva's aging now, but as a young, you know, you look at the Badiashile. All right, yeah, we overhype young players and whatever a little bit, but I think a lot of Arsenal fans would say to me right now, you swap Badiashile for Rob Holding.
Oh, yeah, you would. I mean, as I say, I just think Rob Holding has a level, and I think if you're going to win a league, he's probably not going to be the one that you're going to start.
I do get what you're saying, though. The criticism tends to fall on an individual a lot of the time when it's 100%. Not. And Rob Holding has been a little bit of a scapegoat.
He's the easy target because he's not played all of the games. So as soon as he's come in, that's obviously the weak link then. But then it comes back to what I was saying before. Players being tired, players having dip in form, you know, and not a lot of people talk about it, but, you know, Tomiyasu getting injured is a massive thing, because if Tomiyasu stays fit, he then plays in that right back position, and then you simply put Ben White into the middle. But then again, you know, these things happen, you know. We've just got our bits at the end of the season, and this does happen. So
you had your number 9 out for best part of half the season, a third of the season.
Yeah, but that's an interesting one, because obviously a lot of people I've spoken to, and obviously from what I watched myself, it was a massive blow, but we coped, you know, and we still scored goals and we still won games. If anything, I think putting Jesus back in has kind of just disrupted it slightly, because Trossard, when he was playing, unbelievable,
the assist king.
But then since Jesus has come back in, Trossard's kind of like stepped to one side a little bit. He's been on the bench more. I just think, you know, defensively, we need more cover, and also as well, I think in the midfield. I think when you're talking about Granit Xhaka, he's had a great season, by the way. I was never one of his biggest fans, but, you know, I'm happy to eat humble pie. I think the geezer's done exceptionally well. I think there needs to be sufficient cover for either him or Partey, because especially Xhaka now, he's getting on a bit in football terms. We're going to need somebody to step in eventually and take over his role. So it's like, we need to start looking at that area as well. Going forward, I think I'm confident that we can score goals. So I'm not really bothered about, we need to get a striker in or whatever, because there just aren't that many decent strikers around for a reasonable price. You get quoted silly figures and whatever.
Isn't it? Because for his country and that, Zinchenko often plays in the middle of the park. You know what I mean? And obviously you've got Tierney there, who was pretty much a standout performer for you last season. They haven't ever deputised him there. But if it's not broke, don't fix it, I suppose. And what I would say when you talk about the central midfield role is it really is no secret that you are heavily, heavily linked with Declan Rice. It'd break my heart, considering he was Chelsea Academy player, but I don't think we got much chance of getting him. I think our best chance was Champions League football and Mount convincing him, and it don't look like Mount's too keen on staying, so I think Rice is going to you boys, if I'm honest. But
I don't think so. I think if he's got Chelsea in his heart that much, I think the way that Chelsea are spending as well, I think if he had the choice, he probably would just go and play with his mate Mason Mount and come to use, and then he'd be part of the rebuilding, so to speak.
Or him and Mount both go Liverpool. Fuck us both off completely.
Yeah. You never know, mate. You never know. But
is there any names off the top of your head you can think of for in the middle of the park who you might like? Because obviously the obvious ones are just, look, Rice is unbelievable. Yeah, I love Rice and I want him at Chelsea. Caicedo's brilliant, but they're ridiculously overpriced. I mean, the one for me, I said for Chelsea, was I want us to sign Edson Alvarez because I believe we can get him for around 35 million. Listen, the business of football isn't ran on Transfer Market, the website, but that is what I like. A lot of the stuff I'll look at, I'll go off and whatever. Gives you a reasonable idea. They got him rated at about 30 to 40 million. So that's one that I think is a reasonable price. I don't see Arsenal going and spending ridiculous amounts.
No, I mean, I can't see us again, I don't even think we need to spend ridiculous amounts. I think it's just all about the right recruitment. I mean, you mentioned two names there, Declan Rice and Caicedo. I mean, we was in for Caicedo earlier on in the season. Great players, but I always sort of edge on the air of caution with that, is because Declan Rice, he looks fantastic, but he's playing in a very average West Ham team. Caicedo is playing in a sort of semi-decent Brighton team, but again, I think he stands out because there's not a lot around him. So I guess, do you take that chance and say, right, well, you come and play for an Arsenal or Chelsea or Liverpool, can you do the same thing? Do you know what I mean? And it's the difficult transition because you're at a different club, a different pressure. So, I mean, look, if we was to get Declan Rice, wicked, that'd be great. I mean, I'm not going to say no to him, but I think there's also the option of as well, like, you touched on something earlier, which I've been a massive believer in and I'm hoping that Arteta would be to play Tierney more often and then start putting Zinchenko in for when either, Partey has his little dip or Xhaka, and just start easing him into it and see if you can make that work now. But he's not done it, and as you say, if it's broke, don't fix it.
Otherwise, Tierney would probably go, wouldn't he? Like, I'm looking at, geographically, a lot of players don't like to leave London, but I look at the minute... And I look at Newcastle.
I was just going to say that.
And I think, like what we said about Ben White, Dan Burns done a brilliant job deputising him.
Yeah.
But is he going to want to stay at left back? Are they going to move him into the middle and have him as cover for the likes of Shaw or Sven Botman, or will he stay at left back? I look at Tierney there, and I'm like, I think you could end up seeing Tierney up on Tyneside, maybe.
I mean that's probably like a good destination. He's Scottish, his family's from Scotland. It's a little dip over the border. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not any great shakes for him. So in that kind of theory, it would make perfect sense. I think from what I've seen of Tierney and what I hear from when you watch the documentary and stuff, he's a very determined lad. So it's something there. I think he will try and push and win his place. He's not going to go back to Scottish football because that's dead for him. Do you know what I mean? And Scottish football's dead in general. Sorry to all your Celtic and Rangers fans out there.
Oh, they don't like me anyway.
Nah, but
I said something on the channel ages ago. I think I said that. What was it? I got dug out for it. I said that the Fulham team that came up from the Championship would win that Scottish League, and everyone, I got pelters for that, and I'm sort of thinking, well, they would, wouldn't they?
It's one of them. So he's never going to go back to Scotland. I mean, I can't see him going further abroad. But then again, you look at someone like Trippier. Trippier went over to Atletico Madrid, and I think he made him a better player.
Much better.
And then he's come back. So that might be an option for him. But I personally would like to see, especially in this day and age of footballers, I think, which is disappoints me sometimes, is like everyone's quick to jump ship and leave.
Yep.
Fight for your place. if you believe in your ability that much, don't just look to run off somewhere. Just say, do you know what? Unless it's completely impossible and the manager's frozen you out, which obviously that's not the case with Tierney because he gets games. But something within you says, right, okay, you've got my position. I'm having it back. That breeds like healthy competition. That then radiates through the rest of the squad. And that's how you get teams to start building momentum and challenging for championships and
there's
cups.
so many examples of times when players did stay and fight for their places and then they regained them and became mainstay. I was watching a interview the other day, a really random one. I was watching one of, do you remember Milan Barros, who obviously played for Liverpool, Czech Republic?
Yeah.
And he was saying about when he left Liverpool and that, and he was saying, I wish I'd have stayed there and fought for my place a little bit, because it was like next season, so they made these big name signings, Fernando Morientes, Peter Crouch was a massive name at the time and whatnot, and Djibril Cissé. And he was like, I was told by Rafa Benitez that I'd be fourth choice. He's like, Djibril Cissé breaks his leg. Crouch don't score for his first however many matches. And Morientes only does well in Champions League. He was like, if I'd have just stayed there, I'd have been playing every week sort of thing. So I think that's just me giving a random example of that. But I think what you're saying there has got a lot of weight to it.
Yeah, and as I say, I think like football is such a short-term career anyway. So I think I can understand why people say, do you know what, this ain't working for me. I could go here or whatever. But, you know, it's like any sport. Freak accidents occur, things happen, dips in form. And then you sit there and you think, oh, well, I should have stayed there. And as I say, I think you just got to go in with that belief that, like, I'm taking your place. That belongs to me. I'm having it. And I think sometimes, well, I mean, not sometimes, all the time, that player broke into a first team somewhere. So he had that belief about himself. You know, he had no choice to, like, couldn't run off here, there. And he was like, right, I'm fighting for my place. And then he breaks into the first team. Same thing's got to happen when you're a seasoned pro and you know, sort of 28, 29 or whatever. You've got to have that same mentality and say, right, well, no, actually, I'm not letting you have my place. I'm taking it back. Force the manager to then say, right, okay, Zinchenko, we're going to have to put you in the middle maybe. See if we can try you there, because Kieran is playing out of his skin.
So this may be not one you want to do, but in a one-word answer to cap it off,
all right.
Where do Arsenal finish next season?
Next season?
Yeah.
First. I'm going to say first. Because that's the confidence now that I think every Arsenal supporter must have.
You've got weight behind it now.
Yeah.
It's not blind faith.
No,
me saying Chelsea finish first is blind faith and tribalism. But
yeah, but that's that. I mean, we do it. All of us do it. People watching this, we all do it. New season comes, you know, and you look and you think, you know, I want us to be champions, or I want us to win something. You have that belief. But I think now that this is the first time in, mate, I think we had a little charge.
Aaron Ramsey that season, do you remember when he was shit hot that season? And I think you were still in it until game week 35 or something. Something
like that. And then it all just derailed and went wrong and whatever.
For me, for an outside looking in, it's the first time since you've been in the Emirates that it's genuinely felt like, you know, this is a title charge.
Yeah. So I think you probably have to go back to like maybe, was it possibly 2013, 14, or maybe the season just before that. One of those, someone will correct me, but that's the last time we were kind of in anything in a challenge. I mean, the season that Leicester won it, I mean, you know, everyone bar Leicester was hopeless. And I didn't even think we could do it then. Do you know what I mean? So this time has genuinely been like, do you know, I like having these conversations. You know, it's not all about sing when you're winning, but you know, you need to just feel infused about it, because if
we had a 3-game spell where we won 3 on the bounce this season, and I was looking forward to the podcast so much every week. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the rest of it is like, I just want to talk about other shit now.
Yeah.
So I know exactly where you're coming from.
And that's what I've been like in WhatsApp groups for like the last 15, 20 years. Yeah. It's like I've got nothing to talk about. Do you know what I mean? So like now I have. And funnily enough, the groups are a little bit quiet. So.
Yeah.